Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Futula Damascos, who's Executive Vice President, Brand Strategy and Innovation at National Research Group. Well, what's National Research Group? Well, they do a lot of surveys, a lot of different things, and one of the most recent things they've done is on artificial intelligence, on AI. And I can't tell you, and we were just talking before we started, how many different presentations I have seen on artificial intelligence, AI, on Chat GBT, on all these different tools that are out there now. And a lot of travel advisors are kind of worried that this is going to, once again, it's the death knell of travel advisors and of travel agencies. Well, I don't think it is, but we're going to find out a little more about what Futula's survey has found and a whole lot more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Futula, first of all, great to see you. Thank you for joining us here today on to tell about the survey. And you just released this survey on the impact of what you call generative artificial intelligence on the travel industry. And your firm, National Research Group, is a leading global insights and strategy firm. Can you tell me a little bit about the major finding of the survey? What was the one thing that really came out of it?
Yeah, so what we found is that there's a small number of travelers, about 6% of travelers, who are already starting to use AI like ChatGPT to plan their trips, but a lot more are excited to do so in the future. And when we look at the different use cases of how people expect or want to use AI in travel planning, we've got two kind of categories. One is more of a hands-on, discovery-based exploration where consumers want more interactivity, helping them find things to do, restaurants to go to, selecting a destination. And then there's a separate use case, which is much more hands-off, more of the looking for AI to automate some of the more disliked parts of planning their trip, right. The boring parts of traveling, like making a budget, making a packing list, booking the actual travel itself, the parts that they don't enjoy as much. But for both of those, right now, what we find is that the biggest barrier for any use case is trust. And there are different levels of that, but this is generally still a new technology, and consumers still don't know how much trust to put in it. And specifically, it's around recommendation trust. Can I trust that the recommendations I'm going to get are relevant and accurate? But then there's also data trust. Can I trust that the AI isn't going to misuse my personal data or expose me to vulnerabilities and security? And
yeah, well, we're going to get into those topics here. In fact, one of your findings was that most consumers, a large majority, 81%, do not trust AI when it comes to planning and booking travel. How can AI be a useful tool to plan and book travel, and who do consumers want to consult before booking if they have even if they have information generated by AI?
Yeah, so the 81% said that if they were using AI to plan a trip, they'd want to double check the information it gave them right. before relying on it, right? So I don't think it means that they don't trust it at all, but it still reflects this idea that the technology is new and they're still figuring out how reliable it is, how trustworthy it is. So it's kind of like in all kind of travel planning, people want to kind of triangulate what they find, whether it's from reviews right. or blogs or forums. We're seeing that play out with AI as well. So they still want to check the input that they get from AI against the sources that they've relied on in the past, whether it's Google searches or review sites or other
or maybe travel advisors
or travel agents. That's right. Yeah. So there's trying out the technology, seeing what it can do, seeing how it can help them, but they're still relying on themselves and others to check that information.
No, that's absolutely nice. It's interesting because so they really want a validation of that planning that AI might have provided with their other sources, or vice versa. Actually, I suppose also do that.
Yeah, and given how high stakes travel is, I think that's going to continue for a while.
Yeah. Now, your survey also found that about 77% they weren't really comfortable letting AI access their passports, other travel documents, and 51% said they were worried that AI-powered travel will not adequately protect their personal data. How can AI have an impact if we have people reluctant to provide those information? I mean, right now, I provide it all the time, and I wonder, I'm a little nervous about it all the time, even when I'm doing it without AI.
Yeah. So I think that's the use case that'll be the slowest for adoption. But there are a lot of other use cases that AI doesn't have to get those types of sensitive documents involved. So it's the discovery parts. It's getting recommendations for things to do, things to eat, making a budget. And people are relatively comfortable sharing that kind of information with AI. I think that over time, AI is going to need to prove itself to show that it can add value to those sorts of tasks, but also prove that it's trustworthy and reliable in terms of protecting even more sensitive information.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll get there, I'm sure. But now, as I mentioned earlier, I've just seen a bunch of presentations about AI at about 3 different major travel agency conferences in just the last few weeks. And obviously, travel advisors are a little worried that AI may eventually take away many of the tasks they do, although this has been a persistent issue over the year. First, the internet was going to take away that, and then other things were going to take about that. Is AI something they should be worried about?
So I think there's one stat that I think puts this in perspective. We found that 60% of travelers who use human travel advisors or travel agents rate them as very effective at helping them plan a trip. Whereas the small percentage of people that have used AI, only 49% of them said that AI was very effective in helping them plan a trip. So for now, at least, human advisors, travel agents still have a strong edge on AIs when it comes to quality and effectiveness and actually helping them. Also, I'll mention that 60%, so at the same level of travel agents and advisors, say that search engines are very effective in helping them plan trips.
Right.
So if search engines haven't yet put travel agents out of business, then I think AI still won't do that. But also, because large language models like ChatGPT and other AIs work off of these kind of publicly available sources, they're always going to lean more mainstream. So, the real value here for travel agents is to continue to help people find the hidden gems of where people want to go. That's truly the niche that travel agents can help play a role in. People are always looking for those really special bits to uncover when they're planning their travel. And so that's, I think, going to continue to play a very strong role for travel agents moving forward.
Well, they've been saying that they're going to take my job out of business in terms of that ChatGPT. It was going to basically write my articles. And I did see a presentation recently that showed you can write articles with ChatGPT. But in fact, sometimes maybe I need that, believe me. It would be very useful, but it's not quite the same as writing an article, by yourself. The information they have needs to be checked and needs to be verified. So
right. And to that point, AI can help start the process. It can, help you discover different things to do, places to go. But then you're at a point where you need the human intervention. You need your own work to add to the travel planning process. So it can help at the beginning, but I don't think it's going to replace all the value that travel agents provide.
So as you mentioned, there's some parts of your study are kind of, there are 2 sides to it. So some of the consumers, 61% of consumers said they'd be willing to use conversational AI. In fact, sometimes I wonder if I am, even if I don't know it, to help plan a trip. And 46% say they expect AI to have overall positive impact on travel experience at some point. So there is some acceptance of it in that sense. I mean, honestly, we all use these bank chat things, and half the time I think they're just AI generated. So that might be something that where consumers would like to use it in some form in travel, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the answer is that it really is that they're not going to put travel advisors out of business right away, at least probably not for the foreseeable future, if at all. So you have sort of 2 sides to this about AI, and this is the same thing I think with travel advisors. They look at it as a potentially positive tool. How should travel advisors view AI and the new technology of ChatGPT, especially? Should they be worried a little bit about it? But also, how can they use these technologies to really help them in their business?
Yeah. So there's. To what I said before, there's a lot of discovery and hidden gems that consumers want to uncover, and I think that's going to be a great value that travel advisors can fill. Moving forward, I think there's benefits of AI that that travel agents can lean into. There's the immediacy of the service that AI provides. So travel agents could use that to extend their services, to give clients greater support during their trip rather than just in the planning stage.
Right.
It helps immediate kind of line of first line of defense in terms of resolving an issue during a trip. It can help, like similar to journalists and creatives and social media, it can help them do their job better by, putting that wide net out there, figuring out what the different options are, what the travel, details might be in terms of planning a destination, and then as the experts helping to whittle that down and provide summary information to the travelers. But certainly there's a lot of powerful value that AI can aid travel agents with, and it's very much during the providing that immediacy of the service.
Yeah. Now, is there some kind of AI service right now that we don't know about that's already being in effect that is helping us?
Not that I'm aware of. That's different than ChatGPT and what some of the travel booking services are already integrating into their platforms, and a lot that's going on behind the scenes that consumers don't even know about. Yeah, but I don't think I know of anything else that you're not aware of.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that, because I'm wondering maybe they kind of snuck in a little artificial intelligence into some of the ways we're booking travel right now.
I think there's a lot in the back end that we don't realize.
Yeah. Now, also, what is the timeline for AI to really have a major impact on not just travel, but everyone? A lot of the presentations I've recently seen is that they're kind of saying AI is really quickly ramped up. I'm reading articles about, the guy who was the supposed one of the founders of AI, which is already quit his job at Google because he's worried about the impact and how quickly it's ramping up. Is this something that we have to sort of understand very quickly because it is going to be an impact on our lives within, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think there's going to be kind of a two-stage process. The first stage is just people playing around with it to see what it can do. There's a lot of curiosity right now with consumers. So in terms of more simple travel tasks that don't require the handling of a lot of sensitive data, I think we'll see that ramp up pretty quickly.
Right.
We asked people how interested they are in using AI to plan travel, and 61% said that they're just looking at my data here. So 61% say that they would at least probably be willing to use AI to help plan future travel,
Right.
but only 17% are in the definite bucket. So, I think it's going to take some time to ramp up. We'll see a lot of initial usage around the more discovery type travel planning, seeing what it can do, more of like the fun tasks.
Right.
And I think the other parts are going to be highly dependent on how quickly trust develops in AI. And that's very much outside the control of the travel industry.
Right.
And it's going to see the news stories come out, both good and bad, about AI, and whether it's around, if it's around data breaches or poor content safeguards, or, AI somehow mishandling sensitive information, that's going to slow things down. If it's on the better side of the news cycle, then it could ramp up more quickly. But I think the parts of truly planning travel will be a little slower for uptake, and the parts around discovery and exploration and just seeing what the technology can do will be a bit faster.
No, I agree with you. And I also think, one of the aspects of a travel advisor is they have to understand their client and they have to know what their client wants. And also question that. And until we get to that point where AI can do that part of it, understanding your customer better than we can, I don't think there's really a danger yet. As you mentioned, there's some of these rote tasks that, maybe AI can play a role on, that if travel advisors can use it effectively, they can be even more effective. Right,
exactly.
Now, where can travel advisors and other travel industry professionals go to find out more about your survey? And is this a survey you're going to do on a regular basis? Because it obviously seems like, AI is moving so quickly that you're going to have to keep going back to see where we are.
Yeah. So the white paper on this study is on our website, nationalresearchgroup.com. In terms of future research, we do a lot of work, proprietary research with our travel and hospitality-based clients. We are watching more in a thought leadership position. We are doing a lot of research around AI in general. So continue to watch the website. You will see different things released over time. But in terms of the travel space specifically, we'll be doing more kind of custom work around that to help travel and hospitality-based clients figure out their next steps and plan for the future for AI and integrating those tools into their websites.
Great. Any closing thoughts for our viewers who are basically 116,000 travel advisors out there in the market who are kind of looking at this and, like me, going to all these presentations and, we get different things from different people. Sometimes it sounds very hopeful and sometimes it sounds a little alarming. But then again, I always have to tell them afterwards that, the internet sounded alarming. The global distribution systems or CRSs sounded alarming way back when. So there's always been these waves of technology that have impacted travel and possibly travel advisors. And yet we still have, actually, it's a growing profession now. So far, so good in terms of, everybody needing a travel advisor if they really want to get one. So anything else you'd like to say about this survey?
I think we covered a lot. I would just say that travel is a very personal and a very important part of people's lives. It's very high stakes, not just the amount of personal information that you're sharing, but the amount of time and frankly, money people devote to their, especially leisure travel. It's very high stakes. They don't want to get it wrong. They want to make sure that they're making the best possible decisions, going to the best possible places based on their travel budget and their needs. And so that kind of high stakes level is going to be really critical. If AI gets it wrong once for them, once they try it, then it probably won't, it'll probably take a lot for them to try it again. I think people will toe dip into it. But because travel is so high stakes, there's a lot that it has to prove to get their trust and usage. And I think, just tracking the AI space overall is really critical. There's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of research being done. Consumers are figuring it out too. So just keeping tabs on it. But I agree, we've seen a lot of technology come into the space, from search to the online booking services, and there's a role for everything, and even, the same consumer will use all of those pieces to plan their trip in addition to travel agents. So this will just play another role. And it likely will have impact, but we got to figure out the right role that it's going to play in the travel planning process.
Well, Fotula, thank you so much for spending some time with us to talk about AI. It's a hot topic right now, wherever I go, and even, online, whether it's about travel or anything else, artificial intelligence is something people have become suddenly very concerned about because of its impact on our lives going forward. And certainly travel is definitely part of our lives. So again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's great talking to you.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.